Hey everyone, this is Brian Holmes with the Strategic Living Podcast and BrianHolmes.com. You're listening to my great friend Stephanie O'Brien, and you are about to be moved by purpose.
Our thoughts on a conscious level may totally understand this, but our subconscious may not be in agreement with it, and it's the subconscious and what's in your heart that produces the results.
Are you longing to know what your purpose is? Are you on the wrong career path? Do you feel like there must be more to life? Don't worry, there's hope. It's time to be moved by purpose. Now your host, Stephanie O'Brien.
Hey, it is Stephanie O'Brien, and welcome to the Moved by Purpose podcast, and today's show is just me. We are beginning a series of a mindset mastery series that teaches you how to master the mindset that will set you up for the success you have only dreamed of seeing up until now, where you will walk a life of freedom, abundance, and true, full, and all levels of success. Now that sounds very promissory, but it really is. When you master your mindset, you do truly master your life, your career, your business, your relationships, your health. Everything is rooted and affiliated with what you believe. It's so critical that you really understand what the mindsets are that you have and how to program your mind for success and truly walk out and see what it is that you want in life the most. So today I'm going to talk to you and give you an overview of the 5 limiting mindsets that keep you stuck and what to do about them. Now, it's not going to be a deep dive. This is going to be a whole series, so we're not going to uncover everything. Today's is only going to specifically be an overview of these 5 mindsets and kind of what the symptoms are. Now let me tell you, these limiting toxic or negative beliefs that people have or mindsets that they have are often something they are completely unaware of. So if you're listening to this, be aware that it may not on a conscious level right away resonate with you. But I will give you some symptoms and situations and things or examples or case studies of what someone with this mindset experiences, and you might very well start seeing yourself in it, and that will start to expose a lot of the lies that you're believing so you can extinguish the lie, put a light into that darkness, and be set free. So, the first one I'm going to talk to you about is entitlement. The mindset of entitlement is not always what you think that it is right off the bat. Most people realize that someone with an entitlement mindset thinks that everything is owed to them without them having to work for it. They think that because this person is very successful, that successful person owes them their money, their stuff, their promotion, whatever it is, without them having to go through the hard work that person had to go through in the first place to get there. Now, I think most people can understand that that is what an entitlement mindset is. Another, interestingly enough, form of an entitlement mindset is someone who works hard, they follow the rules, they show up, they do their job, they do what's expected of them. They're an upstanding citizen that holds a job, that works hard, that doesn't think that everything gets handed out to them. But they get upset if the promotion isn't awarded to them, or they don't get first place, or they don't get everything they want, because they truly believe they deserve it. So people of faith, if you've ever cried out to God in frustration when you follow, quote, all the rules, where you've done your part, why didn't you do your part, God? Why haven't you shown up and answered my prayer this way? That's usually an indicator that there's an entitlement mindset present. Symptoms of an entitlement mindset are not always these people that expect things to be handed to them without working for them, but they're also people that expect things to be given to them because they, quote, deserve it. And, people that say, oh, you deserve a raise. Well, no, you earn a raise. You don't necessarily deserve it because you've been there a year and you worked hard. I mean, just because you're working hard and doing your job doesn't entitle you to a raise. It's what did you do to stand out? And even for the person that's like, I still do things to stand out and I don't get recognized because of the politics. Yeah, that's a super frustrating situation. And if that truly is the case, then it's time for you to leave and go somewhere else to a company that knows your value. The market is up. People are looking for quality candidates like yourself, and they will compensate you fairly and handsomely for the work that you do. So that is the overview of entitlement and a little bit of the symptoms of what goes there to identify what the root cause is. Number 2, a fear of success. Most people that have a fear of success have no clue that they have a fear of success. This is often rooted in issues of worthiness or thinking they have anything of value. So they might not understand the value they have. They might not truly believe that they're worthy. Again, you might be nodding your head in total agreement, thinking of other people. You may not realize that this is also for you. Because on a conscious level, our thoughts on a conscious level may totally understand this, but our subconscious may not be in agreement with it. And it's the subconscious and what's in your heart that produces the results. Not so much what you think on a conscious level. In my seminar, I teach you how to pre-program your thoughts for success to get it rooted into the subconscious or into your heart. So from your heart, you can truly believe and receive all the abundance that God has for you and all that you want in life. But it's until you get it into your heart. There can be a mental assent, and then there's a heart belief. And they're two different and very distinct things, and a lot of people get those mixed up. The mindsets are rooted in the heart. Your conscious thoughts are just mental assent. But there are exercises you do where you train them together in order to get them deeply rooted into your heart. But in order to plant something new, you need to uproot all the junk that's in the way, preventing the healthy new growth, the renewing, from effectively working. A lot of people will try to plant new things, yet they have the analogy of a garden. They have a garden overtaken by weeds that do not even allow the new seeds that have been planted to grow and see the light of day. They get choked out. So my seminar will teach you how to get these weeds out, to get them cleaned up, to get your heart or your mindset in shape and in order. And this also, if you're a leader or a coach or a counselor or a pastor, this also helps equip you with how to walk your own clients through this process as well. So it's excellent for you individually. It's always powerful training to know this. And also it equips you to teach somebody else how to get through it and how to be set free. So we talked about the fear of success, which is often rooted in worthiness issues, people thinking or believing that they're not worthy to receive good things, or that they're not valuable enough to be successful or to be someone that gets paid for a service or a job well done. Who are they to think that they can be a leader, or who are they to think, who are you to think that you can be a leader? Who are you to think you can write a book? Who are you to think you can successfully coach someone through this process? Those are all thought processes that attack us to keep us small, to keep us stuck, to make us insecure and feel adequate. And then eventually, if you give into those thoughts, those accusing thoughts, those eventually are what gets rooted, and that's what drives your behavior, and that's what gives you results. So you've got to always question. So my challenge to you right now, if you're listening to this, anytime you feel a resistance with those thoughts, every time you set out and get excited to start something new, and then immediately start hearing those accusations in your head, who are you to think that you'll do this? You don't have what it takes. You're not enough. Look how much more training you need to go through. Look at all the failures you've done. Look at how this didn't work last time. Are you kidding? You really think that this time is going to be any different? Yeah, those are a bunch of garbage. And you've got to silence those voices. If you receive that, that's when you open the door for it to be fed even more. You can't feed that. You've got to starve those voices. And you need to feed the ones that say, you are worthy. You are valuable. You have everything you need. You're never alone. God is for you and not against you. You are more than a conqueror. You will never be forgotten or abandoned. You are chosen. You are delighted and you are loved. And you will never be left alone. Even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you will fear no evil, for you are never alone. You're not even left to fend for yourself, to figure it out on your own, for he guides you. He says, neither to the right or to the left. This is the way, walk in it. So that's what you've got to do when you're hearing voices that come up against you. You've got to redirect your thoughts and challenge them and cast them down. You really destroy them and you starve the other ones. So you choose. It's like that, I don't even know what you call it, a parable or a story, a fable. I don't know. I'm just going to call it a story. And I don't even know the source of it. So I believe it's an Indian story. I'm slaughtering this, but oh well. It's about this grandfather was talking to his grandson, and he says, within every man there is a good wolf and a bad wolf that are fighting each other day and night. And the son goes, grandfather, how do you know which one wins? And the grandfather said, whichever one you feed the most. So take that story to heart. That is so true. Don't feed the negative thoughts. Feed the good ones. And if you want to know more about how to even get good thoughts top of mind, or to pull when you're facing the nasty resistance and the nasty negativity and the accusations and these things that threaten your security and make you feel inadequate and make you afraid, that is when positive affirmations help significantly. I have a bunch. I will include them on the show notes. There's a bunch of PDFs that I have. Print them out, put them on your mirror, put them on your fridge, write them down on index cards, and you pull those out. Every time you're starting to feel anxiety, overwhelm, doubt, you start getting emotional, like negative feelings, you pull those out and you remind yourself what the truth is. And the truth is that you're valuable, that you're powerful, that you are significant, and that you will leave an impact in this world, and that you will fulfill and accomplish and live out your purpose, and nothing will take it away from you, because you won't allow it. And you won't allow it because you now have the tools to fight it. So anyway, I think now I'm on number 3. Number 3, the third mindset that keeps people stuck is fear of failure. Fear of failure goes hand in hand with fear of success. A lot of people with a fear of success misdiagnose the fear and call it fear of failure, when truly it's a fear of success. Fear of failure, people can openly admit to. For some reason, I find more people that are comfortable admitting that they have a fear of failure before they admit that they have a fear of success. Because in their minds, they're probably thinking, doesn't everyone want to be successful? Fear of failure, I feel like everyone can relate to, but I think everyone wants to be successful, so isn't that a weird fear to admit to having? Which is why it's hard to diagnose, and it's often misdiagnosed. Anyway, a fear of failure is truly, really, just that. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to fail. You don't want to be humiliated. You don't want to go through the pain of something not working out when you give it your all. You don't think you can handle that pain, so you don't try at all. So that's fear of failure. And then number 5 is fear of rejection, especially when you start off in business. You know what? It's not even related to building your own business or even building your dream. I see this a lot with people that have been laid off or people that are graduating college and having to look for a job. The job search process, any type of learning a business, if you ever did any type of network marketing and attempted to do that, which I do find is a very legitimate, lucrative way to make a living, but most people struggle with succeeding in it because of the mindsets. I mean, it is hard work, sure, but the hard work is in changing your mind. It's not in making a call. Punching the numbers in and following a script isn't hard. It's the mental effort that you go through and the torment you go through to even be able to pick up the phone and make a call. That's what's hard. So back to fear of rejection. So a lot of people freak out over rejection. Understandable. Rejection is tough. It's very, very hard. And nobody wants to go through it or experience that pain. Certain personalities are more prone to that fear being greater than the others. If you've been following me, you should know that I am certified DISC behavioral consultant. That's super official. That means I know my stuff about DISC. And I know it really well. And I do get paid to teach people how to understand their own DISC profile and how to work with other people with the DISC profile. And the I personality in the DISC, that's DISC, the I style, is the one that fears rejection the most. And so everything they do from that point is they're motivated to avoid the pain of their fear. And that's why they're super friendly and outgoing and they want everyone to like them. And they're just really talkative and chatty in the life of the party because they are trying to avoid rejection. They're trying to win everybody over and get everyone to like them, because they don't want to be rejected. These same personalities, the same people are the ones that can easily make friends with just about anyone, and they get 90% of the sales process done, but when it comes to actually asking for the sale, they don't do it because the ask means that they could get rejected, and so they avoid it. And it's really uncomfortable for them. So it's kind of a funny cycle that you'll see these people having to go through. And having the I personality myself, that was a cycle that I had to overcome as well, was the fear of the ask. And don't get me wrong, I do it so much now and I've gotten so used to so much rejection and I've seen great success because I've pushed through it and I've overcome it. And once you realize that rejection isn't the end of the world, you learn from the mistakes, understanding why perhaps they said no, and it's never no to you personally as a person. It's no because they don't have the time or maybe they haven't been convinced of the value yet. So I had to learn the skill set of learning how to convince people of the value of it. You know, I had to learn timing. I had to learn maybe a more powerful and effective way to ask. So these were all things that I learned and improved, and now I get a heck of a lot more yeses than I do nos nowadays. And that all happened because I got a lot of rejection in the beginning. And yeah, it doesn't mean I get 100% yeses. I still get nos. But they don't necessarily impact me the way they used to. So those are the 5 mindsets to review. The 5 toxic mindsets that keep people stuck are entitlement, which shows up in 2 different forms. It's like the same dress but different color. The first one is the one that most people think of, which is those that do nothing. They do very little to work. They don't work hard, but they expect that those that work hard are responsible for taking care of them. Those on top, those that are successful, are responsible for feeding them and giving them financial security and comfort, giving them jobs, keeping them in jobs, giving them raises, bonuses that were unearned. So most people understand that concept of entitlement. The second kind of same dress, different color, the second way that entitlement exists is for the people that do work hard, but think that because they work hard, they deserve the raise. They deserve success. They deserve every prayer to be answered because they follow God's law to the T. That it's sneaky in there is a spirit of religion in there, and this is not to knock. I want to be careful when I say a spirit of religion. I am talking about a legalistic, extremely judgmental, I'm going to earn my way to God's favor and righteousness rather than just simply receive it because it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with what Jesus Christ did on the cross. Now, if you don't believe, if Christianity is not your faith, that is just an example. You can relate to this example as in through work or through because you followed all the rules, everybody should recognize you. I mean, there is some frustration when you do everything right and you're not getting, quote, recognized for it. Let me give you a biblical story. Again, I'm going to use biblical accounts or stories to back up this episode because whether this is your faith or not, there's extreme value in the words and the moral of the story, the wisdom behind it. So, it was the story of the prodigal son where the son goes off and squanders his father's money, of which he insulted his father by saying, I want my inheritance before you actually die, which is insulting even today to think about, but then culturally it was like the biggest slap in the face and middle finger, you could give to your father. And so basically he's like, you know what, I kind of wish you were dead because then I can have this money, so can I just have it early because I can't wait around for you to die, and I'm going to go off, live however the heck I want, give into every desire, every pleasure I would ever want. So he goes off and he does it. Then he comes to his senses because that lifestyle burnt him out. He realized this isn't what I thought it was. All the women and the parties and these so-called friends and all the material possessions. I actually had it better at my father's house. So he came to his senses when he was eating food with the pigs, because even the pigs were eating better than him. That's how hard he got hit, because he squandered the wealth, and he came back to his father. And I'm cutting this story short, probably overwriting the most beautiful part of the story. But anyway, his father saw him from a long way off and ran to him, which meant his father was waiting for his return. And he didn't make the son come back to him. He ran to meet him, and he embraced him, and he wouldn't even let the son say a word of any type of, are you willing to just let me live where your servants live? Basically, like, you don't have to acknowledge me as your son. But the father wasn't having any of that and celebrated and threw a big party and festival for the return of his son. Meanwhile, the prodigal son, the one that ran off and did his own thing, had a brother. And that brother stayed by his father's side in his father's house the entire time. And when he found out that the prodigal son got a big party and that his dad killed the fatted calf for his brother that just horribly insulted his father and squandered everything, and he never got a party. He said, I've been with you this entire time and you never gave me a fatted calf or a big festival celebrating me. And that is an example of entitlement. That's the other form of entitlement. What that brother had, the one that was faithful by his father's side, that did everything right and didn't insult or hurt his father the way his brother did, and yet was jealous and upset that his brother got such a celebration, and he himself never saw anything like that. So that is an example of what that nasty entitlement can look like. Now, eventually, his father said, don't you know you had it best because you were by my side this entire time? So be aware of what you've had the whole time, what you do have, and how good you really do have it compared to what his brother really did go through. So that's my extremely long recap and review of entitlement. Number 2, I said fear of success. Sorry, long pause to think. Fear of success, which is often something people are not aware of, and it's often misdiagnosed as a fear of failure. Fear of success, people with a fear of success often also have a fear of failure, And people who have a fear of failure often have a fear of success as well. They often go hand in hand. So you'll notice that there's a lot of opposites the same, and I'm going a little bit too deep here, so I'm going to save it for another day. But next week's episode is going to be about how these things have opposites paired and partnered with them, and how you can have two completely different opposing toxic mindsets that show up in the same person. Very ironic, but it happens to go hand in hand. So anyway, so people with a fear of success often have a fear of failure. People with a fear of failure often have a fear of success. And here's an example of that. I'll just use my own personal example of what I learned and had to overcome. I feared failure and had no clue that I really was fearing success. It wasn't a fear of failure, it was a fear of success. And this is kind of the way I was catching on to this. Every time I had a successful opportunity, I was terrified to follow through with it. And so I wouldn't. I would start sabotaging myself and holding my own self back. After working really, really hard to get the opportunity in the door to open, the door finally opened, and then I wouldn't walk through. And eventually the door would shut. And I did that over and over and over again. That's an indicator that you're afraid of what's on the other side. What will happen if I open this door? At least on this side of the door, I know what to expect, even though this side of the door isn't fun. If I walk through the door, that means that there's an unknown, an uncertainty. That means that I'm succeeding and I'm going to have even more responsibility. That means I'm going to be more in the spotlight. That means more people are going to be staring at me. I was okay being a bench warmer, but now you're actually putting me in the game. Oh my gosh, now that I'm going to be in the game, what if I get really good? You know, I used to be jealous as a bench warmer, looking at the quarterback or the star of the game, saying how I wish I were that person. And after practicing and doing really hard work to get to be that person, then my coach recognized and put me in the game. And now that I'm on the field, now I'm uncomfortable. So maybe I'm not going to try as hard, and then either demote myself to be a bench warmer or kind of skate on by in this mediocrity, because you know what, I realized just how hard, as glamorous as it looks to be the star player, they're also the most heavily criticized. They're the most harshly judged. They have this weight of the world on their shoulders, and you know what, I'm not sure if I can handle that, so I'm just going to stay right here. So that's kind of the cycle of the fear of success, is you realize that as you get more successful, that there's so much more responsibility and so much more burden you have to carry, and then you start thinking, maybe I can't handle that, and so you'll sabotage yourself. And for me, I also was afraid of, once I get to the top, what if I fail once I'm successful? What if I fail? What if I get to the mountaintop and I fall down the mountain? I don't know if I could survive that fall. I'd rather stay on top. I don't want to fall. And if I'm on top, you know, that's high up there. It's unsturdy. Who knows the conditions? I feel like I could easily fall, and I'd rather just not risk the painful experience of a fall and just stay here. So that is where it's a fear of success that also has a fear of failure right linked to it. I was like, I feared success because I feared failure. Okay, so I covered those three: entitlement, fear of success, fear of failure. Poverty or lack mentality. I don't even think I went into this, and for the sake of time, I don't have time to go really into it. Poverty or lack mentality is simply, in the most elementary way to describe it, it is a fear of financial gain and prosperity. Again, something that is super tricky, because who wouldn't want to be wealthy? Who wouldn't want all of their needs met? Who wouldn't want to not live paycheck to paycheck? Who wouldn't want to be able to go on any vacation they want without having any care of what it's going to cost them? Because money isn't an object. Yet there's a lot of people that have a lack mentality, often because they think it's pious and righteous. Not pious, I don't think I'm using the word. There's a piety? Maybe that's the right word. Either way, they think that there's some kind of holiness affiliated with poverty. They think that they're somehow more noble or more righteous because they have less. They look down on rich people thinking, well, at least I'm not rich. Like, being rich is a really horrible, evil thing to be, you know. And those are some of the identifications of if you have a poverty or lack mentality. If you have a judgment against affluent, wealthy, or rich people, or say things like, I hate rich people, or make any type of harsh criticism of rich people are so out of touch with reality. Oh, they don't even know what it's like. They're in a whole different world. And you say that almost like you're so much better than them. And you're demeaning them in those statements. That's an indicator of a deeper problem, and you may want to look into that. Again, there is a counter opposing mindset that goes with the mindset of poverty or lack. But I'm going to go into all of that next week or next episodes. And finally, the fear of rejection. You don't like the sting or pain of rejection, so you try to avoid putting yourself in situations where you would have to put yourself out there and possibly be exposed to that sting. You'll just avoid it altogether and not try or do anything that stretches you because rejection hurts. So those are the 5 things, and it took me 34 minutes to tell you all of that. But I know that you guys found value of it, because I myself was reminding myself of the power of these mindsets and to always keep myself in check when these things might want to creep back into my own life, and how to keep them out of my life once I've already uprooted it. It's not coming back. I'm putting that weed killer down. I'm putting preen down. I'm keeping the garden maintained. The garden of my heart is getting maintained, because I am not about to have those grow back with a vengeance and be even worse. So anyway, next episode is on, I didn't come up with a catchy title. I didn't think ahead. Sorry, but it is. It's on the opposing mindsets that exist in the same person. So anyway, if you liked this episode and got value of it, it is much appreciated if you do take a moment of your time to rate, subscribe, and write a review so I can be found by more people. If you found this to be beneficial, please share it with your friends or family or other people. If you're a leader, share it with your team. If you're a pastor or counselor or coach yourself, use this as a resource to give to your clients. And as a reminder, as I talked about in my seminar is a 1-day deep dive where we really intensely talk about this. It is called Master Your Mindset. The link is going to be included in the show notes. It is right on my homepage. And make sure that you click it and register. There is an early bird registration rate right now, and I'm going to give the podcast listeners an extra bonus of $100 off. So just simply use the code POD100, P-O-D, and then the number 100, and you will get a $100 discount from the seminar. And I will talk to all of you guys next episode. You are worthy. You are valuable. You have everything you need. You're never alone. God is for you and not against you. You are more than a conqueror. You will never be forgotten or abandoned. You are chosen. You are delighted and you are loved. And you will never be left alone.